The forge has gone quiet, the bellows blow no more. The forge has gone quiet, the smiths have gone home. Only fading embers remain, and my hearth grows cold. One kiss from you to rekindle it all.
Welcome back to Queen of Embers. It's episode 64. We just recorded a kind of pre-game session, which you've probably already seen. Thus why we look like we're in the same clothes. Still writing the same books. Still
I'm always
drinking
going
the
to wear
same
this
drinks.
shirt now. That way they never know.
That's right. I'm always in a black shirt. Yeah, it's game session 64. So a few things. Adam and Mike are back from being sick.
Yay.
Or Adam's back from being sick, as Mike is back from playing a video game.
Yeah, it's true.
Tim is out in California. The Chiefs won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So the whole city was shut down today. No school, no work. City wild. Yeah,
No
right. So people were camped out the night before, 1 a.m. in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
It's insane.
It was insane.
Yeah.
Did they ever get an idea what the total count was?
I don't know. I know they said the World Series was 700,000 people packed downtown.
Yeah.
Packed downtown.
You were expecting 1 million or something.
That's
I don't
insane.
think it hit
It's
1
more.
million.
I think it's crazy. It's more than the population of Kansas City packed from like Grand Street down to Union Station.
But it was
Suburbs, yeah.
Yeah.
but it was 30 degrees out. I don't think they hit
that
1
was
million.
my thing. It's like I'm not going to go take off work to stand in sub-freezing weather.
I saw the video and I saw Patrick Mahomes like pounding
Catch a beer?
Yeah, shotgunning beer on the. But
Wouldn't
you know
you?
what? Well deserved. You know,
Yeah.
good job, Patrick Mahomes. But football aside, Tim is out.
Sports.
Chiefs won. Sports ball. Score all the points. We're here to roll some math dice and pretend to be elves. Welcome back to Queen of Embers. And we're beginning Act 7 tonight. Act 7 of 8. So we are getting dangerously close toward the end. And I think maybe we should just kind of start where we left. Well, we'll start first. Maybe we should go through. Let's ask first. Adam, what do you and Mike remember where we left off?
I remember us being put through the ringer as we attempted to fight Graf, and Graf left, and he basically said, "This isn't over."
I'll get you and your little dog, too.
Yeah. So I still have yet to find out if Darwin actually survived. I assume he did, but
Perfect. Well, if that's where let's talk about where you both left off. We can pick right up with where everyone else started. So, Jason, what happened after that?
So we're dealing with a little bit because Warren's on the ground and he's not moving, and so we're a little bit concerned about that. So Eugene runs over. He's not a healer in any way, so he just does what he's been doing lately and put some tincture on it. And that worked pretty well. Warren comes around. We realize he's really banged up. He kind of gives himself a cursory glance and realizes he's got hours to find some sort of treatment or bad things will happen to him. So we kind of weigh out our options at the beginning of where can we find somebody who can treat Warren, and really there's only one option, and that was Emil Frosch. He's kind of the only doctor we have anywhere access to because the rest of them are across the river.
Mm-hmm.
And so we realized we're going to have to go into the camp to find him. And so we grabbed some things. I recovered the broken blade of Graf Frederick. I've got that. Yeah. So we'll figure out what's going to happen to that one day.
Throw it in the river.
No. So we headed to the camp where we kind of devised a bit of a plan. And at this point, she comes out, which was delightful. So when we leave the Content Cannoneer, we leave with you two stay behind. Sherwin's kind of in a bad place. So Harper says, I'll watch after him and make sure he doesn't do something stupid. Mm-hmm. You two kind of just sit behind. Banneker, Elisa, Eugene, and not Warren leave.
Right.
And so that was great. And so we end up at the outskirts of the camp. We're discussing what we're going to do. Eliza says, give me a half hour. I'm going to go inside and find Emil Frosch. And we're like, all right, we'll give you a half hour. And so she goes off by herself into the camp. I won't tell that bit. I'm going to let her tell that bit. So the rest of us stay outside and are having a bit of a discussion. Eugene's asking Warren what's going on, trying to convince him, sit down, lay down a bit. You're not well. Into which he basically tells me, you don't know anything about me at this point, and you have no business telling me what to do. I am here now. And I was like, Warren, you've been here the whole time. And then she corrects me with, I'm not Warren. And I'm like, well, he's sick in the head and just took some massive head injuries. Clearly he's not right. Half hour goes by and Elisa doesn't come back. So we go in. I mean, Banneker and Eugene are going for the plan, which is we're going to find Emil Frosch, get him to surgically treat Warren. And she goes in and decides that the best course of action is I'm going to burn this camp to the ground. So that went well.
Yep.
I tell Banneker, you deal with Warren, ? I'll go find Elise. And I take off running, and I come around a tent.
And we'll pause here. Let's turn to Elisa. So, Kay, what's happening?
So Elisa was sneaking around the camp and managed to disguise herself. She snuck by a couple martyrs who didn't recognize her, even with the posters being up, thankfully. And she went towards the windmill, but she couldn't find anybody in the windmill, so she turned towards Graf's tent and saw one of the martyrs from the pub, from the Content Cannoneer. And he called her over, and she walked over and he couldn't figure out who she was, thankfully, so he asked her to go get him some bandages and such to try to heal himself or work on himself because he was bleeding and grievously wounded still. So she goes over, gets the things from the stores and everything that he asked for, and she comes back, and at that time is when apparently Eugene was recognized across the camp.
Why would Eugene? What happened? What happened, Eugene?
So I come around the corner of this tent. It makes sense that Emil Frosch is going to be in the middle of the camp. I'll go look for her there. And immediately run into two munitions plate-clad soldiers that go, he's got the broken blade of Graf Frederick! I couldn't get him!
It's a big sword. You can't mistake it.
Yeah.
It's a huge sword.
Yep.
Yeah, well,
Yep.
That didn't go well.
Yeah.
Continue.
So he gets called out, and as they call out to go after him, Elisa turns and stabs the martyr straight in the neck.
Marauder.
Kills him. The marauder. That's sitting right next
She
to
killed
her.
a god!
No, she knocks him out.
Oh, I knocked him out and then I killed him.
Uh-huh.
I mean, okay, so I knocked him out and then I killed him, and then I stole the bandages back off his corpse, because waste not, want not. And then I turned and shot one of the other martyrs down and blinded them. Somehow, I don't know what happened to Lisa in that moment.
You guys had a ton. Yes, they had surprise first off,
Nice.
and
Yeah.
then Tim had like a.
He took her
Banneker had
halfway
a
down.
ton of turns.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Banneker got like 3 turns in a row.
So regular, surprise, and then is normal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Banneker took the martyr halfway down, and then I blinded the martyr and ended up killing it. One of them.
Marauder.
Marauder.
Soup stained prophet.
Right.
Soup all over. Stained
So,
everywhere.
So
And that's why they're never coming back, so he doesn't have to say it correctly.
what's funny is that crusader was named Balake. For some
Balake.
reason, we did have that name down. I'm not. Oh, that's right, because she screamed Balake.
Yeah.
And then so then that last martyr takes off running as Warren decides to go on a spree of burning every tent he can find.
Warren was doing this.
She can find.
She was doing this the entire combat. Like
Yeah,
she wasn't
all of
fighting
us
at
are
all.
fighting.
Everyone was fighting, and she was just going around to tent.
She's igniting tents.
igniting every
Yeah.
single tent.
So
That's really
one.
intense.
So the yeah. Aha! Got that. Very intense.
And then they took all the supplies out of the windmill and burned all of those to the ground as well.
And Warren scared off a bajillion dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, randomly.
They're like, I'm gonna bite you, and he goes, "Ugh!"
and like
And all of them,
scatter.
like all 6 dogs, were like, I'm out. I'm out.
That makes sense why she got the disorder she got. Like evil eye. She gave
What?
it to
And then we stole 2 horses.
And I also have a second thing for you. When you were like, I'm gonna start worshiping the martyr.
Uh-huh.
I stole their idol.
Yeah.
Stole the idol out of Graf Frederick's
Tent.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Before
so
that
was
and they got
burnt down,
Emil
And then
too.
burnt that down.
And they got Emil.
We got a
Yeah.
meal. And we took him back towards the boat, but of course we can't get to the boat or anything. So Banneker took a horse and swung across.
Swing.
Swam?
Swam?
It's swam.
I don't know.
Swam across.
Word. Took horse across water. And Elisa broke the rudder on the martyr's ship.
Sorry, you guys just didn't sink it.
That would
It
have
was
taken
just
a lot
the
more
just
work.
the dinghy. It wasn't like the main
Oh,
big
okay.
ship.
Okay.
So their ship it's now disabled, and then we got back on the boat and we took off to Old Lork.
Nice.
Screw this place.
That's right. So we pick up. It's morning on the Axewater River, and there is a morning mist kind of lingering in the air. You can hear the water softly lapping against the side of the boat as you're kind of going upriver, and you hear this slow burbling sound coming from below, and these massive kind of like smokestacks are billowing forth this kind of greenish gray ash from either side of the ship as the sail is raised. It's not dropped, and the ship, the Madeline's propelling itself up the Axewater. It's not only cutting through the water, it's pulling the Last Wish behind it. It's pulling Jonas Sparrow's ship behind it. The Madeline is now operational.
So my question was, did we leave the people
No,
across
they're
the
all
river?
on the ship.
They're all on the ship.
The ship.
Ships.
Yep, they're on the
Oh,
ship.
We're just not eating for days then. Okay, got it.
What are you talking about? We got cream dice and pickles.
Yeah, we're fine.
Oh, fuck yeah, we do.
That'll feed the whole village.
Yeah.
Speaking
Also, they were
of
supposed
which,
to bring food. It's fine.
there was cream dice and pickles.
Those
Because-
bastards ate my ship!
Not only have you
Pickle.
not only have you taken on people from Stowe, you took on the Gralsteaders
Yeah.
Yep.
and others,
Mm-hmm.
and now the ship is awash with activity.
Mm-hmm.
There must be 40 people on this ship, not including yourselves. The galley, fortunately, the Madeline will house most of them down below.
Mm-hmm.
But there's barely any privacy to be had save for in the captain's cabin top deck. But already, Banneker has set them to work. Sheriff Renault de Grey is taking command of the people, along with the Gralstetter woman, to kind of quell any kind of bickering back. It's only been 24 hours,
Okay.
and you left Stowe in your wake, and these people who were transplanted no less than 3 years ago, men, women, and children, are now on the ship.
Good thing we grabbed all those medical supplies.
Yeah. Do we know?
Speaking of which,
Do we know anything at all about what happened to the Picts?
they were burning the
We didn't
forest.
even get a
Assumed
chance to check.
they were either killed or run off.
The last thing
by the
you
Crimson
saw,
Marauders.
the last thing that Terwin saw on the horizon was the forest burning in the shape of people in armor, the Crimson Martyrs marching into the woods. You saw nothing beyond that as you escaped. You literally fled Stowe. The morning is here, and the ship smells, of course, of the strange, smelty, kind of burning coal, perhaps. But the whole ship is just like literally it's vibrating to some degree, and there's some confused looks on faces that are here, but obviously they're going to get accustomed to it. But Sammy Newhouse, as he's down below in the engine room, so to speak, the entirety of the Madeline is now self-propelled completely.
Awesome.
You've not had to drop oars at all, and you're moving upriver. The morning mist kind of yawns open, and there's a light snow falling overhead. And that's where you all awaken.
Okay.
A long night, a very long night. Your eyes still a bit bleary from smoke, stinging. You all are very, very tired, as you were suffering from sleep deprivation at this point, as everyone will suffer 15 physical peril.
Terwin
Nah.
didn't sleep at all.
Nobody slept.
Right?
Correct. That's why you're all suffering from sleep deprivation.
But yeah, no, I was just saying even if we got one, which wouldn't count, 1 hour, Terwin wouldn't have slept at all. Period.
Sure.
And ever since we got on the ship, Terwin has been looking off in the direction, like if we saw them on the port side, he would be looking off the port side of the boat from then until now. And he is still looking off the port side of the boat.
Eugene is going to try and find a way to rest easy. He's been running on nothing but tincture for days.
Unfortunately, finding rest on the ship that is now overcrowded is incredibly difficult. In fact, one may say, as long as you are aboard the ship, traveling upriver, you will have many restless nights. But the Madeline is not thrust into chaos, but there are a great deal of many people on this ship now, including those you brought before you from Kael Tyrion. And it's literally within less than 12 hours of everything unfolded in stow.
Yeah.
There will be no sleep for none of you today.
Then I tink it up.
Be sure to mark your correction.
Oh, I
obviously.
did. I'm gonna go to Terwin then.
He's on the port side of the ship, looking toward the shore. You can see the grim shape of a thick pinewood forest beyond almost like a dark silhouette behind the mist of morning, the cold frozen mist and the snow. But the Axewater River is so broad that it's hard to see to either shore from where you're at, because the ship has a very deep draft. It needs to, shallow draft. But the river has been low for seasons, since the long summer. So you're kind of carving your way up the middle of the river.
I'm gonna walk up and just sort of prop myself up against the railing, looking out, resting more on my arms than my legs at that point, and then just sort of give it a moment to let him acclimate to me being there before I just start talking.
The fuck you want?
Well, quite a bit actually. Peace and quiet would be most ideal, but, and I gesture back at the boat, quite unlikely. More so, I wanted to ask you, what's our plan now? Are we just going to continue to take all these refugees up shore with us?
You see
On a
Emil,
picnic?
as he's saying this, you see Emil Frosch kind of walking in the background. He's been brought on board. He's walking with Sheriff Renault de Grazer, talking, laughing, discussing something. They pass out of sight into the crowd on the ship. A grim reminder of Stowe.
I think I may have words with that man.
Would not blame you. Man caused quite an ordeal. Put many lives at risk. Honestly, now that we've gotten what we need out of him, I don't understand why he's still on this ship.
To be fair, you haven't got everything out of him.
Oh, yeah.
No.
I thought he was going to tell stuff while he cut open Warren's brain.
He sure did. That hasn't happened yet.
Oh, we haven't cut open your brain.
No.
We're not cutting my brain.
There's a reason I haven't had words with him yet. It's because I'm not convinced that an accident's an accident yet. And until I'm convinced of that, I shouldn't be talking to him.
Well, what do we intend for all these people?
These people can do what they want.
But are they going to continue to do what they want on this ship? We need to find a place to get rid of them.
Hey, that's one of the reasons we're going to Old Lock.
How far out are we from Old Lock?
You're not really sure. Old Lork is up the Axewater River. Normally you could get from Old Lork to Stowe by ship in about 4 days.
Okay.
But the river was swift. Old Lork.
And we're going against the river.
You are going against the river. But that doesn't really matter because the battle line is self-propelled. However, Old Lork sits not on the Axewater, but it actually is where there's a large lake called Cauldron Lake, and there's not like a sea, but it's a very large lake. And if you were to track how to get back to Durendal, you would simply follow the Bastards River, the diverted river through the old valley that now, almost like the Lake of the Ozarks, kind of twists its way down to Durendal. So Lork is probably 4 days away, 5 days away at best.
Days.
It would probably be best if, when we get to Loke, we give them the option to stay here or to come with us to Durendal. But if they're coming with us to Durendal, they need to spend a day or two working in Old Loke so that we can raise the funds to buy them food so that we can make it.
Well, that sounds like a good plan.
Because if we don't, we're fucked.
True. I'm not sure how well we're going to make it to Lork. Probably on empty bellies, but I think I'll be okay. And I pat a more rotund figure.
Doesn't matter how big you are.
No.
When you're hungry, you're hungry.
Yes. My bigger concern is not starving to death on a ship. Now, at this point, I'm going to lean in a lot closer so it's quieter, more personal of a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
What is wrong with Warren? When we were in the camp looking for Emil Frosch, that wasn't Warren that was with us.
It was,
Who is she?
it's a good question.
So I have a theory on that one.
Do you now?
I do. Remember that bit Eliza read out from the Esoteric of Durendal?
You mean Elisa?
Yes, sorry. The Esoteric of Durendal.
Let's take a pause for a second, because I would probably assume that Eugene has a pretty good memory, right? So let's pull out that passage you're talking about for the Esoteric of Durendal and read it off. We're assuming, because remember, Eugene is an Eloranite, he's an archivist. He would have things kind of lock into his mind.
Eidetic memory for reading.
Yeah.
He just rattles it off.
Maybe we should just read the whole thing.
Oh.
Your turn.
Okay. It's the third age of mankind, but the second age of mysteries was a tumultuous time in the history of Mahal. Kingdoms rose and fell at the drop of a penny. The oldish people had already recently arrived from the first shore and settled into a region called Aquitaine by the Danish. The oldish consisted of 3 families, the Erdane in Aglador, the Gentish in Giron, and the Ravanians in the Girdle. The Church of the Covenant and the worship of their gods was still in its infancy, as the Eridanian priest had only recently begun to proselytize the Danish people of Aquitaine. One of the lesser-known incidents was from the early Second Age, scrubbed from the Holy Librum during the Great Purge by Queen Lysandra Priam, the Bitch Queen. It's a story about the Night Father's servants who broke away into the material realm of Mahal. Records of this event have been eradicated with such fervor that only a few diary entries and elusive pieces of art remain. From these scarce and obscure sources, I have been able to deduce the following. Amarin, in the secretive states of his seminal work in the Libra Umbra, that angels who serve the Night Father are born with an embodiment of a particular emotion. One such was a powerful angel, whose name is lost to time. Like all of the Night Father's servants, she was a unique expression of the Night Father's emotion at the time of her creation. In her case, emotion was something quite foreign and loathsome to the Night Father, something too mortal, the emotion of unrequited love. Despite all of her allure and influence, the angel had never been able to entice the Night Father to reciprocate her adoration. Instead, she was seen as an anathema to the Night Father, a reflection, his denial of all things unworthy of love. Yet, she desired nothing more than to prove herself worthy through utter devotion, but twisted to her own world view. The Night Father has a grand plan to spread his influence upon Mahal, but not until the world has grown from its dark ages. In the Well of Souls, the angel grew to be influential, attracting other angels of the Night Father who suffered from his unreturned love. None of Mahal knew her name, but she intended to ensure that both the Night Father and the people of the Second Age would never forget it. To earn his love, she intended to gift the Night Father with the most chaste and wholesome of women of Mahal. Again, against his wishes, she descended upon Mahal and brought with her the Cybra, bastard-born children of the Night Father, who wore masks to hide their anguish and tears. The angel was doubtlessly beaten back to the Well of Souls, and her Cybra escaped to the Four Winds, but more on that later. Disappointed and disgusted, she would seek to infiltrate Mahal so early in its infancy. The Night Father plucked the angel from the Well of Souls and brainwashed her beyond the stars to the ethereal veil. She was imprisoned by a powerful hexagrammatic equation of dark magic and turned to the Numia, the ancient old in the world that roughly translates to Watcher Beyond the Stars. Today, when the Leviathan's eye, the autumn star, burns balefully towards the world from the night of the Penumbra autumn until disappearing on the last night of Umbra in spring, the Watcher Beyond the Stars is allowed a brief glimpse of Durindal. The Levenchi chapter house of Durindal displays a half-burned painting said to have survived a terrible fire. It pictures a woman with a flowing mane of black hair and burning eyes that defeating an angel with a pillar of flame. Even though the full story was lost during the Great Purge of the Second Age by Lysandra the Bitch Queen, the painting reveals the truth. The angel failed in her efforts and was driven back to the Well of Souls by none other than Basiah, one of the three Magi, founder of the Church of the Covenant, and sainted at the Basiah Square in Durindal. That's my theory there, Tywin. What if she is that watcher from beyond the stars, the spaces in between, and Warren is her gateway back to this plane? By keeping Warren active in current events and areas he is most influential and to be influenced, if she is who she could be, we're putting more at risk than just Warren, putting everyone at risk.
So what's her end goals? Because you said a lot of words.
Yeah, I understand that. I may not know what her direct goals are, but I think she intends to come back fully. Which means we're going to lose Warren at some point.
Oh, so she's going to be
in charge. Permanently. And with how it went down in the camp.
Well, that's kind of stupid, because if she was, I'd just kill it, because Warren ain't around no more. If she wants to survive, she'll let Warren come out and play every now and then.
Well, if she wants to survive and take over, she'll choose to come back when you're occupied. As she did last night. You were a mite busy. No one can blame you. But when we were under attack and fighting arrows back and forth through that camp, all she did was burn. She's going to do that again when we need Warren most. Depending on him is a mistake and a concern. Unless we can find out a way to either ally her with our goals, I think Warren's a liability.
I should say, excuse me, you're called from across the deck as Emil Frosch is approaching. He's wearing a leather smock, and he has a set of long gloves kind of hanging out the side of his shirt. He looks bleary-eyed. His eyes are bloodshot. He smells of smoke, as you all do. His hair is pulled back with a the equivalent of a Razan's scrunchie, but his hair is pulled back regardless, and you can see kind of the graying wings on the side of his hair. He has his glasses affixed to the end of his nose. I have prepared your friend for his surgery. If we could talk.
Aye.
Yes. You descend. You follow him, and you all converge at this point to descend down to where Warren is lying there, and his eyes are kind of darting back and forth, and he's been administered some seed pot of opium. But before you go under, what happens? You see your friends converging around you, and you're kind of in this haze between like consciousness and about to pass out for surgery.
Well, first of all, Eugene, obviously he is prepared for surgery and his shirt is off. And you see a giant...
Oh, you're not talking Eugene is proud.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, no, I wouldn't.
You for surgery!
You see a giant mark on his left shoulder. It's a pulsating handprint with 9 fingers. Definitely not the cause of like a lightning strike or a burn or anything like this. This is definitely unnatural of some sort.
Look at you, Tyrwin. I look at that, and then I look up, and I look directly at you.
Emil Frosch, having the great bedside manner that only he would have, he simply takes the part of one of the cloths off from his waist out of his belt and begins to place it over Warren. What injuries did you have again? I'm sorry.
Cerebral contusion, head trauma, and mutilated hand.
That's right.
And as he's doing that, he grabs his hand, and he sits up and says, while she was controlling me last night, I was around backstage, poking around. I saw some things. I found out her name. Her name is...
And this
just then, his hands go immediately to his neck, and he starts trying to choke himself to death.
I'll try.
Yeah,
and-
like,
Try.
Everyone kind of leap. At this point, Emil Frosch's eyes are wide, and you all leap toward Warren. And by the time you manage to relinquish her hands from his throat, Warren's eyes have already rolled back into his head, and he is now unconscious, being prepared for surgery, taken by the opium.
It's so cinematic.
Emil is looking down, and he's kind of taking a beat for a moment as you all are kind of collected around Warren at this point.
You said you took their shrine or their symbol for the martyr.
Yeah, pull my backpack off because I haven't been able to leave my stuff anywhere with all these people on it.
There's this huge, heavy stone statue that looks like a woman with outstretched arms that is literally stained red. Stained perhaps in pig's blood, you would guess, or something else.
And would I feel like that's not like the normal, like, was that normal for her or is that not?
Well, it doesn't resemble
have
anything
that-
you've seen in the Librum, at least from your time in seminary or whatever it may be. Do you have a
reverent
skill?
upbringing?
Do you have a skill rank in education?
I don't yet.
Okay. You don't recall these specific imagery, although there was a time in the Librum, in particular, when the Church of the Covenant was its founding, when they were kind of absorbing other cultures. And there are other cultures in the world that do depict a woman who they call the Crimson Martyr, or in this case the Red Revenant, the maiden. She is a Valkyrie of sort that she ferries along dead soldiers to the Well of Souls, and she's also a figure of vengeance. In particular, fiercely protective of mothers and children.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me take a look at that. Miss Harper would. I hope Warren won't mind, but I think I might say some prayers while he's under.
I turn it over to you.
Yeah.
Woman won't mind, but she will.
Well, to be fair, I don't give a fuck
To be
about her.
fair.
Yeah. To be fair.
The Red Revenant relic is one encumbrance.
So, at this point, Emil is going to go about his work, attending to Warren's numerous injuries.
Right before he starts, though, we're gonna say, so you brought us down here for what?
We spoke last evening, your friends and I, that we would have a discussion about what unfolded in Stowe, and then to continue our conversation from when I was in the Pictish camps. I owe you that.
I thought you meant that we needed to do this before you started. Well, I don't want to distract you.
Oh, goodness no. I'm going to be at this at least for 9 hours.
Don't you think you want to be, like, focusing on that? And
Do you need to be alone when you're hacking and hewing through picks and martyrs?
You know, I'm not about ready to strike up a conversation while I'm doing it. I'm kind of,
Well, I think you're being fairly judgmental for somebody who has never had any true physical training, Master Forster. Trust me, I know what I'm doing. He puts his gloves on. He fixes his glasses. And he pulls out this big, thick, heavy book that is embossed with the words, the corpus.
Not mental.
He begins thumbing through this well-worn leather tome. And he comes to one that looks almost like if you've seen like those blow-up diagrams of like a clock that shows like different gears. You can see what looks like a blowout diagram of the gray mass inside your head, but it seems to show these different pictures portraying the four humors, shown as like almost caricatures of a person acting in that fashion. And it has several diagrams of the brain that don't look like what we would perceive as medical diagrams. It looks more like illuminated manuscripts that are fanciful, and that the brain does not look like a brain at all. It looks like there are 4 lobes, and each of those lobes is the bilious, sanguine, the melancholic, the others, all 4 humors portrayed, and he is going to set to his grisly work as he pulls out literally a metal cap from his surgery kit with a giant screw in the middle of it and pliers that would attach to the head, and begins to drill into his head to relieve the blood from his cerebral contusion. You can see the blood begin to slowly gather in this pan underneath the table. Meanwhile, the boat's kind of moving back and forth, but Emil seems to kind of be moving with the motion, kind of jostle this way and that, but his hands are perfectly still. I spent some time in some medical study in Durindal during my time as an alchemist, an apothecary, if you will. I always found it queer that apothecaries were to sell to barber surgeons, and we were forbidden by law to practice both professions. So I saw it to teach myself from the masters. That is. He looks toward the book once again, and he pulls out this long kind of blade, and he begins to kind of cut along the back of the head. And he's doing something fairly grotesque. Does anyone here not have indifference?
I don't have indifference.
Raise your hand if you have indifference. Okay, well.
Good thing you don't care.
For those who don't have indifference, you need to attempt a challenging result test to withstand stress.
And he's just like,
I don't care.
He's just like ripping into someone's skull as he just casually, conversation.
So how's the weather?
No, it's still disturbing.
I'm
It
gonna
just doesn't.
Yeah.
We're just like,
Not feeling so good?
Not feeling so good.
Okay, so you gain 3 corruption from stress, and you also suffer 3 mental peril.
you do not know what order is.
You can feel your heart fluttering. You can feel kind of like that kind of sickness in your stomach building, but you hold your lunch, or what you have left of it at least.
Might at some points like go above deck, throw up, and then come back down.
Sure.
I'll eventually have indifference, so
Oh,
there'll
yeah.
be 4 of us.
That's right.
I don't care.
So, I mean, I know you're an expert in all, but normally when I'm doing something like that, it's to hurt them. So is it like a bit of the dog that bit you sort of thing?
Well, that's a rather crude and grim look at it, but if that's the way you wish to characterize it, certainly.
It's the only way I can understand.
Well, I'm afraid I cannot give you a lifetime's worth of medical training in the mere 9 hours I have to treat this man before he bleeds to death.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you can't teach somebody how to become a soldier in a matter of moments, but you can at least say stick him with the pointy end, eh?
Well, In simple terms, there's good pus and bad pus. As you can see from his brain, he is sanguineous. Too much blood on the brain. And this white putrescence here, that is good. That means he will survive. He will survive this surgery, but he has still yet to treat a mangled hand and
Head trauma.
head trauma.
What was that again?
Warren will... Your friend shall walk away alive. Let I assure you of this. But we will simply put some metal plates where necessary, where the incisions have been made, or the drilling in this case, as he kind of twists these pliers that's kind of on the head like this, and as he does that, the hole he drilled in begins to seep with clear liquid. Good pus, you see. He shall survive the head trauma as well. This is good. We rolled for this, by the way, last game session.
Oh, did you? Okay.
We rolled for all of it. He continues his work. So, as to our conversation, remind me where we left off.
Where we left off. You didn't give us much to go on.
Well, I seem to recall that you came to my rescue, and myself and Hans and Franz were captured by the vicious picked bloodleaf. What a story that will make.
No, at least you wasn't captured by the vicious Graf Redrick. I mean, Ava 1 was no good for you.
Neither was good for Stowe. No.
It wasn't.
Both terribly violent people. It was only a matter of time. You mix
Well,
oil and water, and they go together. All that had to happen is somebody had to flick a match to a euphemism of sort, and up it all went.
maybe best, considering that certain people may have flipped matches at this point, to not use that analogy.
Do you think, dear madam, that I would simply set Stowe aflame, knowing that I had a healthy living for that matter?
Speaking of that, you told us you'd tell us information about the guiding hand.
Yes, the guiding hand. We spoke a bit more about other things too. But if that's where we are to start, fine. I know this much about the guiding hand. They are a ruthless organization that have controlled Durindal's trade for some time. Price fixing, collusion with other merchants, Gildan merchants for that matter. They have worked behind the scenes to ensure that prices fall within their desires. Not too unsurprising, they are guild masters of a sort, but as I'm sure you can surmise from their rather sinister sounding name, they work from behind the scenes. They are not instigators or guild masters themselves, but without a doubt robber barons. The Ravane Girdle is rather is a battleground of sort for such things, knowing the strife that is unfolded and the Girdle and Baglador for some time. But they do their business on the east side of the river, so it does not interfere with the business of Old Lork or the other gangs. Not to say that the Guiding Hand is a gang by any means, but they are controlled by very powerful people, primarily a man named Bruno Lehman. When you had first come to the camp, I certainly thought you may have been assassins of his, if you quite recall.
And why would he have sent assassins after you?
Well, as I mentioned, my friend, Eustace Adelard, an old friend from Durindal, when I was paid in merchant favors and scrip. 1,000 gold crowns that was marked by Bruno Lehman. I suspected that Eustace had been caught up some dangerous game. You know of the soot-stained prophet, I trust.
I do.
Then you know that Eustace Adelard has given up all his worldly possessions and sides with the workers of Durindal. He would not have 1,000 gold crowns to pay. Particularly for this batch of Madame Geneva that was particularly special.
What was so special about it?
Well, to be quite frank, a Madame Geneva is inexpensive to produce. It is produced in a still, caustic, combustible in some cases. He seems to skip over the whole part about stove blowing up, but however, it is not inexpensive to produce. If I were to produce enough Madame Geneva to match 1,000 gold crowns, it would have filled this ship twice over. No, this Madame Geneva was special, he says. I told you I spent some time as an apothecary, he's saying this as he begins to tap this little hammer to put the first plate on Warren's head, where he shaved it with a straight razor. I was an apothecary before a physician, as he's kind of tapping on each of those little pins. Like kills like. Any generous amount of medicine can be turned into a poison. The same is to be said for Folkbane. Enough laudanum, and you can weaponize it to a poison.
Yeah.
The Geneva that I produced for my good friend was laced with Folkbane.
And what need would he have for poison Geneva? Was it a batch he intended to give to a particular people?
You must understand that my relationship with Eustace Adelard has been by transpondence. When and if we could speak. It was never face to face. After all, Eustace was in Durindal on the other side of the Stead Wall, and I was here on the Axwater Valley.
So you've never met him?
I told you, he and I go way back in Durindal.
Ooh.
Well before he joined the 13.
All right.
For his needs, I cannot say, but I suspected that he was in trouble. And I knew that if I didn't do this thing that would put Eustace's life in jeopardy, and the people that he works with, 13. I think he's caught up in a dangerous game in over his head. And I did not think to question Eustace when he made this request, for I knew that if he was being guided to do this, he uses the word guided very definitively, that it would put Eustace and his loved ones in great danger, and endanger myself and the people of Stowe.
Well, you think he was guided to do this as I hold up our wanted paper?
I don't know. Who was Julian Coventry? He points toward the name on the bottom of it.
Wait,
Oh, my memory's not serving right.
hold for a moment. You don't know who Julian Coventry is?
He's some hanger-on in the Baroness's court.
So you do know the name.
Name sounds familiar, but I am not a member of the Velvet Throne. He holds his hands up like this. Not by a long shot. I don't traffic in those circles. After all, I am just an apothecary, he says, as he continues his grim work.
Of course.
No, the name sounds familiar, but many moths to the flame when it comes to the sun, moon, and the stars of Durindal. Fly too close to the flame, and you shall be incinerated by the Queen of Embers.
Queen of Embers, eh?
Yes.
I've heard that maybe once, twice.
Oh, an old limerick, yes.
What's that mean?
I shall sing it for you, and you can tell me what you think it means. This is a very familiar tune, at least to any Durindaler. The forge has gone quiet, the anvil lies mute. The forge has gone quiet, no more does the hammer fall. Only fading embers remain, and my hearth grows cold. One kiss from you to rekindle it all. I could go on. Trust me, it's a dreary limerick.
I feel like I've heard it many times before in another life.
Hell,
Right, like maybe 63 times or so,
Something.
something like that.
well, regardless, the limerick is not in reference to the Baroness, but one cannot help but make the comparison between the two. I'm certain you're well aware that he kind of looks around to make sure nobody's around. That Madeline, Maddie, as she is called by her lovers, that she attracts like a brilliant flame. She attracts sycophants and other hangers-ons, and those who come too close get their wings burned.
Huh.
There has been
Imagine that.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, who would blather on and on about things like loyalty and undying service and stuff like that? I don't. Shit.
Those who believe in the whims and will of the Velvet Throne, those who call themselves leal to the Baroness's call, the secession and all, the divorce, if you will, to use a more common pejorative. Apropos, I suppose, considering that she did divorce the Baron Genevieve, but no less, people have certainly begun to associate this this poem, this limerick, with her. But at the same token, there was a conversation I remember having with Eustace Adelard well before the time I left Durendal, when he was talking about some terrible accident that happened, and some burnt man he met, and that this man had commanded a great respect among these laborers.
It does.
Did Eustace believe it?
You believe it? I mean, certainly. I mean, Eustace, trust me, Eustace is no fool. Eustace, in a former life, was a very, I would not say conniving, but I would say very successful business person. And he gave up all of his worldly goods to join this cause. He joined alongside with this prophet and his people. He believed very strongly that by the time I had left Durendal, I mean, he was already gone over. And there was no doubt in my mind that it was true. He gave away everything he had. Everything. Every worldly possession he had to the adherents. Everything he had. His home in Besias Square, a nice little 2-story place not far from Slum Row. The man was rich as Croesus, and he left it all behind. Belief? I wouldn't call that belief. I would call that submission.
Fatalism.
Well, I suppose. What to do? To pay tribute to distant gods who do not answer prayers when they are given before their hallowed halls built of millions of gold crowns, or perhaps a man who can walk among who has survived a terrible fire, yet is able to speak with the voice of Messiah herself. I mean, one cannot simply ignore the realities of why someone may be so enraptured with the Soot-Stained. Eustace, I'm sure, was caught in the crossfire, his old relationships with the Guiding Hand, and the new, which was with the prophet.
So then this begs the question. A man who gives up everything that he is, everything that he earned, everything that he was, to follow this man pennilessly. Why would he go back to the Guiding Hand?
That I do not know. I think that he had old alliances with the Guiding Hand, that there are some relationships that cannot simply be severed so easily. The fact that the script was marked with Bruno Lehmann's name, knowing that Eustace was penniless, the prophet and his people, the 13 I think they're called, I don't think that they have more than 2 brass pennies to rub together by choice. Were I to make a judgment, knowing who came to pick up the Madame Geneva once it was finished, for it was not Eustace, I suspect something more foul at play. Whether Eustace is being used as a pawn by the Guiding Hand, or if it is being, I don't know. Frankly, I have not given it much thought. In such lines of questioning oftentimes can lead to perilous ends.
In these correspondences that you had with Eustace, are you sure that it was by his hand?
Without a doubt.
So who picked up Jennifer?
Well, it was on a river barge. There was a ship called the Red Herring. I remember it because there was literally a red herring painted on the side of the ship. Whether that was its name or not, I'm not sure. But it was piloted by a captain and a crew of gangsters, doubtlessly river vipers. And more curiously, there was a tall, twisted man in a old brass and ivory mask. That's when the merchant's favors were given to me. And without a doubt, they were certainly taken by the Bastards River to the Lehman salt mines. No doubt. And no doubt in my mind that they crystallized. It was like a diamond. I knew at that point that this is all pointing back to the guiding hand in Bruno Lehman. They had to have gone to the Lehman salt mines.
Where would those be?
Just north of Durendal by a day. Just up the Bastards River.
So when we's going to Durendal, we'll be going through it.
You will certainly pass by it, and if you were to simply blink, you will miss it. But you will know it by the white salt cliffs alongside the Bastards River.
Alright, so you been there?
Goodness no. What business would I have? Near the Lehman salt mines, I am no miner, no worker.
I know what business would I have in Kaltirian, but I wound up there.
So that may be our next stop then.
Oh no, our next stop is Old Log.
Well, after Loke then.
We have a few passengers to disembark. A few.
A lot.
Looks up at the
Very
sounds
lot.
above.
Have you been to Log? Because I've only been to Old Log.
I don't believe I've been to Loke.
I've
You
never
say
heard
the
of it.
libraries.
Would you mind handing me that bone saw there?
I will pick it up and hand it to him.
He lifts up Warren's hand gingerly, looking at this mangled, mutilated mess of flesh and bone. I think I shall try to save it. He puts the
Upstairs,
bone
Eugene.
saw down. Now, I think that this will
Roger.
require some
Yes.
delicate work, and frankly, I don't think you want to see what I'm going to have to do. So, if you wouldn't mind excusing yourselves, perhaps we can re-adjourn when the sun goes down. This will take some time, he says.
Yes.
As you wish.
Emil nods, and you kind of adjourn back to the captain's quarters, just yourselves.
So what do you think of this man's character?
Well, I think he's still callous. I think he's still unwilling to admit what damage he's done. I still think he's arrogant enough to think that he was still in the right for everything he's done. Still thinks the Pictish are to blame. Still is willing to let fault fall on everyone but himself. If he weren't working on Warren, or her, at the moment, I would want him put out of the ship.
Yeah, next time Owen's around, I suppose we should restrain him. That way he can say what he wants.
If she's willing to silence him so violently, I believe she's willing to dislocate his shoulder to stop him.
So you went to university, right?
Hmm.
You didn't play any silly games when you after hours when you was done studying and you was drinking. Oh, she'd make him She'd make him fall asleep for a bit. Ain't gonna kill him.
No, I never played any games like that. I
That's
always
what
spent my
we
time
do.
reading.
I suppose I should have done that, huh?
Hmm.
What do you think?
He's a selfish prick. At the end of the day.
He is.
Like, it doesn't matter. He's not going to give us much information, to be honest, that we don't know. It
Ask
seems.
us to make place.
There's a bit, knowing that it was the River Vipers that picked up. But to be honest, he's going to guard Eustace so hard that I don't know that there's much information else that he can give us. Other than we could put us in contact with Eustace, if that's what we wanted. But is that what we want?
I want to solve this bloody mystery and I want to move on.
Well, we now know there's a large shipment worth 1,000 gold of poison that's been brought to a mine close to Durandal.
Yeah.
Why a mine?
Because it's controlled by the guiding hand, and where else do you keep things?
Yeah, but a warehouse in a city where you intend to use it makes more sense.
Not if there's guards that would potentially look at shipments. If it's outside of Durandal, they don't have the wherewithal to look
what
at
do
it.
you use 1,000 crowns of poison with?
An entire town.
Either that or a party.
That's what I'm thinking, a celebration. And what's the biggest event upcoming?
Well, either for that or the biggest event that already occurred. Well, no, that wouldn't work. Never mind.
Or a secession celebration.
Bingo.
Yeah. Alright, what do you think of Emil?
Well, I wouldn't say he's good people. He's obviously an opportunist and a survivor. He'll say whatever he can to get out of a sticky situation. We can trust him as far as we can throw him. And if that's overboard, then, well, that's about as far as we can.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't believe his words?
I mean, I think he'll tell us anything we want to know as long as he thinks he's going to benefit from it, right?
Well, he's living, and that's his benefit right now.
So,
I'm just saying, don't do what you did last time, but, just ask him normal questions.
do we think that an accident was an accident?
I wouldn't doubt it.
There was a lot of money that he probably lost. If you think about it.
That's probably going to motivate him more than the lives of some people in the town, too.
Honestly, I don't think he set the fire on purpose. I do think he was an idiot. Because he thinks he knows everything. So he walked away from it, thinking that, well, he couldn't have made something explosive, right? He knows what the fuck he's doing.
That's quite insightful.
Well, that's what I would assume. But he had an entire store at the granary, right? That granary blew up, along with the rest of his store. Why would he have lost his profit margin? I don't think he gives two shits that he potentially killed an entire town, an entire group of people.
Yeah.
Don't think he cares. One way or the other, he's probably more upset with the fact that he has a few less gold crowns that will be coming his way. So I don't think he said it on purpose. I do think he's a fucking idiot.
What do you think? Think an accident's an accident?
I think until we find any indication that it wasn't, we should assume it is. The moment we start assuming it's not an accident is the moment we're going to start seeing things that make it not an accident. I think it's quite likely two reasons, either as it is an accident, or Frosh is a loose end, being tied up by a much more powerful player in a much bigger city.
Time has passed at this point as you've been discussing and talking back and forth in the captain's quarters, and at some point, Warren, bandaged, and apparently in good spirits, as best spirits as he can muster, he wanders in. As you look outside the captain's window, you can see it's already nighttime.
So with the cerebral contusion, I will remain unconscious until I've recovered. So that means
You've been tinctured.
I've been tinctured. So
Yeah.
I'll take my.
You have been tinctured.
It's 3, right?
One.
Okay.
You have been tinctured, my friend.
That's Jason. He knows.
Do you have to take a tincture per injury?
Yeah.
If he wishes to ignore all three,
And yeah,
you want to ignore all three?
I'll just do the one.
Okay. So his hand is is in a rough spun cast, and you can see these kind of like these kind of splints of wood that have been tied into his hand, around his hand, and of course he's got this kind of metal plate on the side of his other head where they drilled where Emil Frosh had drilled in and relieved the pressure on the brain from the cerebral contusion. You can see his eyes are highly dilated at this point, but you can see the best smile Warren could possibly muster, given given what he just undergone, and he looks like he's a bit kind of frayed at the edges, but he comes in and has a wineskin.
I don't look that bad, do I? Takes a long spell.
Everyone's kind of looking you. Everyone's kind of this dead look on everybody's face as they're looking toward you as you walk inside the captain's quarters and close the door.
Warren, you've always been an honest man, so I'll be honest with you. Yes, you look awful. Terrible.
I appreciate you telling it to me straight.
You're all alive, blockhead! You hear Sammy say as he comes across and kind of gives you a firm shake and, oh, sorry about that.
I managed to make it through.
I've seen worse.
It's good to hear.
You look like shit, though.
You smell like it, too,
Well,
Sammy says.
it's kind of hard to use the privy when you're under. You know what I mean?
I do.
Well, at least it took the time to clean you up, I suppose.
Yep.
You still stink. Look, I'm going to take some air with Aileen Woodward tonight. We're going to do some chit-chatting about what to do next. Cappy, Banneker told me we're going to Old Lork.
Yeah.
Let us not linger too long. I'll take the air. You come see me when you're done. We'll catch up. Get a drink if you can.
All right.
It's good to see you, buddy.
Thank you.
They shake arms like this. And the two Gralsers part, leaving just the 5 of you here.
You talk to Emil?
I did. And I'll walk forward and I'll give you an embrace. Darren's not very affectionate, but he's still...
It's a bro hug. It's a...
Yeah.
3 claps in the back and walk away.
Awkward high five at the end.
Glad you.
You made it too.
I thought you was dead.
Sometimes I wonder.
Well, now he's a holy man. Get it? As I point to my head.
Right, that makes 2 people I want to throw off this boat.
2.
Always one for making jokes.
Emil, you.
Might be a few more.
I'd take that wrestling fight match any day. Just come on.
How are you faring? I saw that there was... You too. I saw that there's a lot that happened in that fight.
It's not a thing that touched me.
Her clothes are a bit tattered and ripped, but she appears to be whole,
Unharmed. Yeah.
unharmed. Your eyes deceived you. Your blood was trickling in your eyes in the sweat, but she has managed to. She somehow managed to escape with her life. Not a scratch on her, just smoke across her face and hair.
I fared all right. Still the bad leg, but there was a brief moment where Graf dislocated my other knee. But he was nice enough to put it back when he hit me again. So, that was nice, I suppose. Got that going for me.
You know what else you got going for you?
Well, I also have this handy, brand new, and I unsling my pack again and unwind the relic blade of Graf Frederick that's still shattered. Handy new wall ornament. And I don't know what I'm going to do with this yet, but it's quite nice.
Throw it in the damn river is what you should
I'm
do
not
with
throwing
it.
it in the river. Do you know how much this is worth?
You're alive? You think he's just going to let you have that? He knows you have that. You are a dead man. You throw that overboard right
I'm
now.
not throwing it overboard.
He's not going to trust that it got thrown overboard.
No, he's going to come seeking me down. At least now I have a bargaining tool.
Yeah, that he'll stab you with.
As far as
No,
I reckon,
no,
he's
it's broken.
coming after us, whether we like it or not.
He is.
If one of us is wielding it, it's gonna mess with his head.
And one of us has it, he doesn't.
Exactly.
Well, if it's at the bottom of the river, no one got it.
I say we get back.
He'd swim for that
What do
damn
you- what do you
thing.
I say we
Then he
get.
can sink in his
All
armor.
right, all right, all
I'm
right.
gonna hold up the broken, just the handle portion.
We get back
Think
to
you could
Old
teach
Lord.
me, Tywin?
We put it back together. We
No.
have someone do it.
I almost hit Warren with it.
Listen, do you know what that is?
Yes, I'm well aware of the legend that's around it.
Right, it's much more important than just one man. It's an heirloom to the whole fucking kingdom.
Harper looks nervous. He's like, this is not a good idea.
Yeah, I understand.
Were we supposed to just leave it in the tavern? Then?
Yeah, he ran out on it.
So-
That makes it ours by conquest.
So knowing that you've kind of discussed this to its well-frayed end, we should end the conversation about Graf's blade for now, because nobody is going to give here. We should
Yeah.
move on.
Harper literally watches his hand. He'll have nothing to it.
So our next move is to go to Old Law. What else do we have? Anything else to go on at this point?
Oh no, apparently we stopped and buy some mines.
Right.
And,
Unless we pay it no mind.
Uh,
I have to make up for last week I wasn't here.
$3.
I missed
So,
the quietness in the
wow.
It
camp.
was so nice.
While we're there, we're going to see about getting some food.
Alright.
We're going to see about doing what we need to make our journey back home. And I need to have a talk with both of the leaders of these two communities that are with us and let them know that of my intentions. If they want to go all the way to Durendal, they can. But we need to find a way to feed people. So we may be in Old Log for a day or two. Or, if necessary, even more, but hopefully not. I don't want to be in Old Log for too long.
A lot of trouble in Old Lord.
Well, the good news is we're one of the few ships that can get back out of it. Right.
Also, not anything against you, Warren. You're in no condition for the road.
Oh, good thing we're on a boat.
I say if we have the time to spend in Old Log to rest up and recuperate a little, would not go amiss. I'm barely mobile, but Warren's barely standing.
You don't know Old Law, do you?
Never been, heard the stories. But it beats dying in a mine because we rushed it a little.
Well, here's the thing. The type of trouble we get into, you can't do any work without clearing it by someone. That's all I know. I don't know who to fucking clear it by, but
And just something to point out. We know somewhat the reputation of Old Lock, and you happen to have a piece of paper that proves out that none of our faces should be seen in that fucking place.
mhm.
Just a point.
Alright, we might have a bunch of knife men coming aboard.
Right. Most likely, what we probably need to do is drop all of these people that are not coming with us. And if they are coming back with us, we need to know exactly who. Because if somebody gets on this ship, that's quite a pretty penny on our heads.
Well, so we head up to Old Log, and then we head to a mine. That's the plan.
So what we're saying is that the community leaders cannot leave the ship because the community leaders are the only ones that are going to recognize all the faces, and they will be near the gangplanks, both of them, making sure the comings and goings of the people that was in their community.
Yes.
Sound like a plan?
So
Works
that's
for us.
Mm-hmm.
And if we are leaving the ship, which I imagine we will, we'll go together.
well, we can't be the only ones with a price on our head in Old Lock, can we?
Right.
However, we might have the biggest currently.
Oh no. No, I don't
The
think so.
biggest and easiest to take out some of us.
Well, some, sure.
Hi.
Alright, so while we're waiting, suppose there's a couple conversations we can have, but You were saying something earlier?
Huh?
Right before you went under.
Yeah. I said something. I was about to say.
Hang on a moment. And, so put your hands on the table. And I'll grab them. What was you saying?
Okay. He has a mutilated hand at this point, so you're going to immediately add a day to his recuperation for mutilated hand.
Oh man.
An additional day. He restrains you.
Would you say that he manhandles him?
That's 4
You
months.
literally have
That's
to
4
What
months.
the hell?
It's 2 corruption per punt.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
He's
I
gonna
suppose
die
that,
by
yeah.
the end of this.
Is there any corruption for you in that?
Probably one corruption is being completely oblivious to
Yeah.
Warren's.
This hand ain't doing anything to you. It ain't going anywhere.
You were saying.
Her name was. Wait a second. I don't remember. She must have been poking around while I was under. It's gone.
That's convenient.
Oh, her name is Nisgon.
Oh, don't be making stupid jokes. This is serious business. When I say that, I mean it. Whoever's got the esoteric Arendelle, you've had some time to look through it. You found anything? Because if this ain't figured out soon, I don't know how much longer I got. I'll always be here in the background, no matter what. She's in control.
So
I'll always be here.
she can't make you go away, right? Forever?
No. If you kill her, you kill me too.
I understand that. But there's no way that she can kill you. You're thinking, right?
I don't know. I don't have all the answers. She doesn't talk to me.
Well, because, you know, if there's a point of no return, I need to know it. Because
I can't say.
I hate to be morbid, but I imagine you wouldn't want to be prisoner for the rest of your life, right?
I can't say when that point is.
Alright. But then I won't.
You'll know it when you see it, though.
Will I?
I hope so. That'll be for you to judge. I won't have a say in it.
I'm going to guess it's when he's burning people and not tents.
You're one to talk. You damn near you tortured a man to death.
Yes. And I think I was justly punished for it and just trapped my leg.
Still, there is a stain of blood on the floor.
I'm not saying what I did was good, Warren, but I think if you lose control, it's only a matter of time till you're burning people and not tents.
Alright.
What I'm getting at is, you found anything yet? Time's of the essence.
I have a couple leads that I've been looking over. If I might be able to pick your brain at some point. Sorry about that.
Do you
It's
think
corruption.
Do you think that,
You're fine. You're fine.
do you think that
Needs not work.
you're taking wasn't there a man that was called Dr. Mindbender somewhere?
Wait, the one back in Durandal.
Mm-hmm. Think we should take him.
Taryn, I told you many times, this ain't an issue of mind. This ain't a head shrinking thing that gets done. This is
Mole.
something taking up residence that can't be taken out with drills and pliers and knives. This is something that requires a tool of a different sort. Something that, if I recall rightly, Jonathan had some sort of ritual when we were back down underground. Something like that. If you could talk to him, maybe we could set up something. Drive her out, maybe. I don't know. It's worth a try.
Well, you know, I would love to do that, but I don't know much about the religious but perhaps someone around here knows about.
It
And
might be
I
something.
actually look across all three of you, knows a bit more about those sorts of things.
It's all up here. She knows it.
It might be something the
It's just
holy
tricking
man
her.
knows.
It's just tricking her to get her to say it. She knows a lot of things that I don't.
What do
I
you
never
think-
learned how to read. Here I am.
What do you think the chances are that we actually find a holy man in Old Lord?
I mean, it's a city. It's bound to be someone holy, right?
It's the old rich man through the eye of a needle.
Maybe.
I mean,
We
there's a lot of
can at
people.
least look.
There's a lot of people, you know, somebody's going to be bound to try and save them. So,
That's not a bad idea. We could talk to, we talk to him, see if that's something we can use. Because, yeah, he got something from that tomb. He wrote something down.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we give a look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
I don't think religion is necessarily what I'm going for. You know, I revere the poison cradle, and that's just to get her eye off me. You know, these other gods you follow, I don't think any of that sort of works. I don't hold them in any reference. That ain't my upbringing.
It's definitely something to look into.
Horrors beyond your capability of withstanding, and could break as a person. You reckon? There might be something that might push you beyond your mental facilities and break you as a person. Do you suppose if we lured her to the surface at some point and subjected her to those same devices, we could break her and thus break the link to Warren?
You know me. I'm a man that lives in the world shaped by it. She ain't like that. She's something more. She's made of sterner stuff. She ain't gonna be privy to that sort of thing. She ain't gonna be swayed by those winds of mere mortals and whatnot.
And we will close out here for Queen of Embers for tonight.
Okay.
We will continue next week with episode 65. We're only 4 more away from episode 69, where all rolls of 69 are considered a critical success. Everybody give yourself 300 reward points. for
Yay.
points. Yep.
alright.
Advanced tier, here we are. We will continue next week. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed tonight. A little bit of a shorter episode, but obviously we did some character building stuff, a new move to advanced tier, which is always fun. So we'll see you next week on Queen of Embers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.